Played backwards by Ballard. Now feet of Nassau. Vincent again tries to go down the line. Got over the halfway line but didn't reach the feet of Adoy thanks to the intervention of Mika Guts. Helped backwards by Jensen. Bit of a hospital pass, and the clearance from Bielika isn't much better. It's going to drop for Adoy on the right hand side. He does well to bring it down with one touch, and now Ballard is able to switch from right to left into a bit more room for NAC Breda as they still aim to defend their half. Here is Clint Leemans. 20 minutes to play of this first half. NAC Breda 0, Ajax 1. Oscar Glauch, who I mistakenly wrongly called Steven Berghaus when he put the ball in the back of the net, but the less said about that the better. Occupying the space of the right winger to bury the ball beyond Daniel Bielika and open the scoring at the Ratviller Stadion. And the relegation threatened hosts find a way back. Here goes Ballard. Tries to lay it off down the right hand side. It's much too far in front of the veteran Dennis Adoy, who decides not to bother chasing that one down. He'll go for an Ajax throw, only needlessly conceded by NAC Breda. Taken on the left hand side by Lucas Rosa. 10 yards or so ahead of the Ajax penalty area. Rosa taking a few cheeky steps forward before launching it towards the halfway line, where it doesn't find Weghorst. Instead, NAC Breda are able to bring it under their control. Adoy shepherding it back to Adoy shepherding it back to Bielika. Now Ajax are going to return the favour because they've stopped a NAC Breda attack down the left, and it will be sent back to their own goalkeeper Martin Paes by Anton Gai. Forward it goes by Paes. The chase is on for Berghaus, but he's not going to get there ahead of the goalkeeper Bielika, who's come out to the 30-yard or so mark to command his area of the field. Lays it off to his left back and captain Boy Kemper. Nassau into the middle for Sowah. Kamal Sowah, another Ghanaian representative in the NAC Breda dressing room. Player also capable of playing further forward than he has been assigned to do today. And his international compatriot Dennis Adoy just running into trouble by falling over his own feet on the right hand side of the field, conceding a throw as NAC Breda look to put bodies forward. The flick on is a creative one by Weghorst after the Ajax throw, and now here they come down the right. It's Gai into the middle towards Weghorst, who wouldn't reach that at full stretch, but it's not going to go out of play. It's going to be recovered by Mika Guts on the left hand side of the box. Ajax with bodies forward. Guts this way and that, gets the cross in towards the back post. Gai had stayed forward. The clearance isn't very comprehensive. Challenge made in the midfield on Sowah, who goes down. Referee says play on, and NAC Breda are going to do that now. It's launched out to the left hand side where Sumano keeps it in play. Here comes the counter. Sumano getting to the edge of the box. Musa Sumano tries to do it himself. Stood up well by Josip Sutalo. Sumano still does well to hold on to possession. Looks to square it. Nassau's in the middle, who can't bring it under his spell. And out comes Martin Paes to say thank you very much. Takes it with both hands and doesn't let go. NAC Breda showing signs of life. Currently not winning in this relegation battle that they are enthralled in the middle of. They do not look in any mood to give up anything to Ajax. Glauch. Here is Mokio. Alrosa. Now Guts. Guts back to Mokio. Mokio lays it off to Yuri Bass, who's joined the attack. It's the delivery from the left hand side by Guts, looking for Weghorst, delivering along the floor, unable to be brought under control, and now it's played in behind by Sumano. Away goes Brim. Just before he can get there, retreating and getting there first was Josip Tutalo. That is excellent defending from the Croatian, just to separate Brim from the ball get in between the two and clear the latter away. Here is Nassau. Backwards towards Frederick Jensen, the furthest man back for NAC Breda, not named Daniel Bilica. Kemper put under pressure as he makes his way from the left-hand side into the middle. Goes down eventually under that pressure from Oscar Glauch, the goal scorer. Now Jensen into the feet of Sumano. The layoff is there to Ballard. Now it's out to the right for Adoy, crossing position. Able to get it into the box. It's cleared away by Yuri Bass. Mopped up on the halfway line for NAC Breda. They're going to carry on coming. Liemans to Soa. Now Liemans again. Now out to the left for Kemper. Now back to Liemans. Slow build-up play being employed here by NAC Breda. Eventually played into the middle for Sumano to try and lay off to Brim. Interception made for Ajax, and Brim is unable to win it back for NAC Breda. Played forward now for Ajax to the halfway line, where Berghaus takes a unusual touch. Falls to Mokio in the end. Ajax do hold on to the ball. There's a challenge made in there on Josip Sutalo as well, who was doing his best to help his team maintain possession. Now Rossa into the feet of Gods, who runs headfirst into Dennis Adoy. Referee says no foul. Probably quite rightly as well, and Adoy's now making his way into a more advanced position down the right. He's able to get the return from Ballard. He goes down under pressure as Rossa didn't get the ball but did take the man. Free kick awarded to NAC Breda in a promising crossing position on the right hand side, about 5 yards back from the edge of the box. This might open some doors for the home team. Adoy doing ever so well, not just to win possession back cleanly, but also to draw the foul out of the Brazilian fullback. And now Nassau is standing over the top of this free kick opportunity. He's going to be joined, I believe that's by, that looks to be Clint Liemans. I think I must be wrong with that one. You'd imagine he would be an occupier of the penalty area. It'll be a left-footed delivery from the right-hand side for NAC Breda. Essentially as if it were a corner, this, based on the positioning. Bodies are plenty in the box, wearing both shirt colours. What exactly do the home team have up their sleeve here? There's just over 10 minutes of normal time to play at the end of this first half. They're a goal down. They need every point they can spare as they battle relegation. The close of the season is close. And the delivery is to the edge of the box. It's Nassau who lays it off, and the first time strike is deflected, and it could have gone anywhere. It does go away in the end for what I believe will be an Ajax goal kick. I think arriving to strike it on the edge of the penalty area was Boy Kemper, and I believe it took a nick on its way through, certainly off a player in yellow. Unclear which one. There were that many of them in the Ajax penalty area. Ajax play their way out of danger off the resulting goal kick and win a free kick of their own just past the halfway mark. Well, a full stretch there to deny that striking opportunity from the edge of the box. From that free kick for NAC Breda was the goalkeeper Martin Paes. He was very keen to make sure he got down to try and deny that goal scoring opportunity that in the end was denied by a player wearing yellow and black, obviously inadvertently. Now Berghuis takes an errant touch down the right hand side. NAC Breda win back possession in their defensive third, and as it's lifted forward for Musa Sumano, he is bundled down from behind by Josip Sutalo, who is doing his best to stick to him like glue, and the referee now wants a word with the Ajax man. Gozubuyuk, not the only person as part of the officiating team this afternoon. Of course, VAR is in effect, as you would expect from a European top division game. 10 minutes of this first half to play. Backwards by Soa. Now here is Liemans. Out to the left-hand side for Kemper. Kemper's ball is played early towards the edge of the box, looking for Sumano. Doesn't find him, but here is Ballard. Team. Throw-in now leads to a sustained NAC Breda period of attack. Here is Soa. It's backwards to Jensen. It's out to the right-hand side for Odoi. At first you don't succeed. Try again. That's what NAC Breda are going to try to do as the ball is returned to the centre circle with Clint Leemans. Now Nosso. Flicked on by Sumano. Arriving into the penalty area was Paola. He's going to get a second opportunity to pick up possession now. He gets it returned to him from Kemper. Appeals for a handball off the first time cross. VAR will have a look at it if there's anything serious to worry about. Paola's delivery all the way over to Nusso at the back post. He can't keep it under his control on the edge of the penalty area. Half clearance made. Picked up by Jensen. Now Odoi keeps it in play on the byline. Back to Jensen. Bundled over as he approached the corner of the penalty area. Fairly, according to the referee. Wout Weghorst with his arms in the air, saying that he did nothing wrong. Here comes the Ajax counter. Weghorst switches from left to right. Brings Gai into play. He's got Berghaus in front of him, as well as the likes of Mokio and Mika Godz arriving into space. Further out to the right hand side for Berghaus, who runs into trouble. Throw-in awarded. Well, a replay might suggest that there's a case for a NAC Breda penalty, really, off that handball claim. Looks as though the body position of Anton Gai doesn't really lend itself to the whole keeping your arms by your side in a natural position way, and apparently I'm not the only one that thinks so, because the fourth official's getting an earful on the touchline from Carl Höfkens. The referee did get the word in his ear that it should not have been a penalty, but on second inspection you would not bet against some officials from changing their minds. Generally how it happens, isn't it? When referees are called to the monitor to watch a replay of an incident, they normally go against whatever it was that they initially had decided. Foul committed now on an Ajax player. It's Godz who goes down under pressure from Ballard. Free kick awarded Ajax's way. Very much inside their own half of the field. Rossar backwards to Yuri Bass, and now it's Martin Paes. And now Gai. And the flick on is Weghorst. And Berghaus is in behind, and the assistant referee on the near side does not raise his flag. Berghaus, he's got Mokio arriving, tries to take a heavy touch to escape the presence of Kemper, who holds him off very well indeed. Sees it back to Leemans, who makes the clearance. Now it's Sumano trying his best to hold it up on the edge of the defensive third for NAC Breda. He's not been able to keep it under his control. Gai does well to win it back. Ajax get it over to the left for Rosa. Rosa to Godz. Trying not to run into traffic. Pulls it back to Bass. Bass will see it all the way back now to the goalkeeper, Paes. And that's the 40-minute mark of this game. NAC Breda 0, Ajax 1 it remains. It was Oscar Glauch who got on the score sheet to break the deadlock. Player who's now scored in 2 games against NAC Breda in the league this season for Ajax. He and Kenneth Taylor got on the score sheet for Ajax in the reverse fixture held at the Amsterdam Arena, the Johan Cruyff Arena as it's known. Kenneth Taylor no longer part of this Ajax squad. He moved to Lazio in January. And the man who got the goal for NAC Breda is also no longer with the club either, Sidney van Hoosdonk. Here goes Godz. Godz to the edge of the penalty area. He's done so well here. Mika Godz, he's tried to walk it in, and he has. What about that? That came from very little indeed. But Mika Godz has added to his already impressive goal tally in the Eredivisie this season. Make that 16 in the league for the campaign. And this one needs Shakespeare to describe it, because that was beautiful. He did it all himself. He picked up the ball inside. I think he might have been in his own half of the field. He's approaching the halfway line as he receives the pass from Wout Weghorst, and he decides he's got one thing in mind, and that is to do everything he can on his own. He goes this way and that. He must barge his way through about 3 different players in yellow and black. This is a really impressive run. He escapes Nassau. He goes this way and that to escape Leemans. Gets into the penalty area and just about escapes the shirt-pulling attempts of Frederik Jensen. And then he sits Bielica down to roll it past him. That is really, really special from Mika Götze. He's proving why he is Ajax's danger man with a wonderful solo goal. NAC Breda 0, Ajax 2. Goal of the month contender, goal of the season contender perhaps there from Mika Götze. He is unstoppable when he feels in the mood. And he's trying to pick the pockets now again of the NAC Breda players. It was Ballard on the right hand side who's just felt a barge in the side from the most recent Ajax goal scorer. Well, here's me going on about the players who were on the score sheet as Ajax overcame NAC Breda in the reverse fixture that took place at the Amsterdam Arena. Oscar Glauch, Kenneth Taylor, Sidney van Hoosdonk. None of their goals have a patch on what has just been produced by Mika Götze. Bears repeating, he picked up the ball on the halfway line and he had one thing in mind. He got away from Nassau, he got away from Leemans, he got away from Jensen, he got into the penalty area and he sat the goalkeeper down and rounded him. More defensive work for NAC Breda to do now as it's delivered across the face of goal by Mokio, and eventually scrambled away by a combination of Jensen and Leemans. Mokio refusing to let the attack go away. Here is Götze on the left, lifted to the edge of the penalty area inside of the Ajax half. It was a little bit of a hospital pass that's just about been recovered for Sutalo. Now Gaze looks to switch it from right to left, looking for Götze. Mokio unable to get underneath it. Now here comes NAC Breda. Laid off now to Nassau. Brim getting to the edge of the box. On the left hand side he goes down under pressure. Referee saw it coming. No dice on the penalty claims for the home team inside of the Radwele Stadion. They might start to feel hard done by the referee's very quick dismissals of their penalty claims now, because that's been 2 in about 10 minutes. The first handball claim against Anton Gai, that one a barge in the back from an Ajax defender as Charles Andreas Brim made his way into the box. It's Berghaus, in fact, it's the captain who just brushes out an arm to bundle the man down to the ground. There's no real aggression in it, but once Charles Andreas Brim gets into the penalty area, he knows once he feels contact that the given thing is to go down, but so does Serdar Gozubayuk, the referee. Knows not to tolerate it. Thrown on the right hand side then for Ajax. The game resumes. It's taken by Berghaus, but it's going to be given back to NAC Breda now as the fourth official's board goes up to indicate how many additional minutes there will be at the end of this first half. Just the one. Celebrations for the goals that have been scored by Glauch and also the wonder goal that was scored just a moment ago by Mika Götze. Apparently not eating up too much time on the referee's watch. Can Ajax create something for themselves right at the end of this first half now? Here is Berghaus. Looks forward as Glauch and Weghorst make the runs. Mokio was also lurking on the edge of the attacking third, but it's been chested down by Ballard and brought under control by NAC Breda. Out to the left-hand side for Boy Kemper. Kemper into the feet of Leemans. Kemper again. And this is about to be 46 minutes. Over to you, Mr. Goizubayuk. Still no half-time whistle. And there it is, delaying it by just the 8 seconds. as Ajax walk down the tunnel as the Radverlegstadion very much in control of proceedings in the city of Breda. They open the scoring via Oscar Glau, scoring his second goal against NAC Breda in the league this season, getting on the end of a Mika Gott's cross that was left to him expertly by Yorti Mokio, and the finish was one void of mistakes from the Israeli midfielder. And speaking of being void of mistakes, that second goal that took some doing, an incredible run from the halfway line from Mika Gott's. It really can't be oversold just how good that goal was. He had one thing in mind as he brought the ball under his control on the halfway line from the short pass by Weghorst, and he went this way and that to get around three retreating players in yellow and black and sat the goalkeeper down, rounded him and put it into an empty net. It's a goal of the month contender. I'm sure you'll see it on social media. It won't take you long to find it if you go looking. And with that in mind, it's half time at the Radverlegstadion, and it's NAC Breda 0, Ajax 2. Tune in 15 minutes or so for the second half of this live audio coverage. Good evening and welcome back to this live audio coverage of this Eredivisie clash. You tune in as we ready ourselves for the second half of the action at the Eredivisie-Stadion. My name is Jay Cooper and it's my pleasure to guide you through the action from the city of Breda as we watch relegation-threatened NAC Breda take on Ajax, who are still bombing for a European place, and they're doing themselves an almighty favour so far this evening. It's a first half that saw an opening goal converted by Oscar Glauch after approximately 25 minutes, able to get the ball rolling with his second goal against NAC Breda in the league this season. He was part of the team with Ajax that scored twice to beat NAC Breda 2-1 at the Amsterdam Arena all the way back in late September of last year, and that was complemented by an incredible solo goal from Mika Götze in the first half, running from the halfway line and beating three players in yellow and black, as well as rounding the goalkeeper Daniel Bielica to add to the scoring for the Amsterdam side, who are readying themselves for the second half now. NAC Breda are already on the pitch. They are ready for this second half, and they're going to be joined by their opponents in a brief moment. NAC Breda in the yellow shirts with the black stripe across the middle of the shirt, the diagonal stripe, with the black shorts and the white socks. Ajax in their away strip, the dark blue kit with the light blue marble trim and the light blue shorts and socks to boot. No changes are apparent as we ready ourselves for the second half of the action in the city of Breda. The Eredivisie-Stadion playing host to 20,500 people approximately on its best day. Not quite that many inside the ground this evening, but plenty here to cheer on their team as they battle against relegation. They are second bottom of the Eredivisie table, and it doesn't appear that will change as a result of today's game, finding themselves in a situation where they are 3 points behind the relegation playoffs, where they would battle whoever finishes third in the second division in the Dutch football pyramid. They need to catch Excelsior as quickly as possible if they are to preserve their Eredivisie spot. It's a spot they've held ever since they obtained promotion in the 2023-24 season. It was about the time that their current manager Karl Höfkens came on board, and he's kept them in the league to this point. They finished 15th in the Eredivisie last season, a full 8 points ahead of the relegation zone, 7 ahead of the playoffs. They would love to be in that position now, but it doesn't look as though that is going to be able to present itself at this stage. Certainly not at this stage of this evening's game, where fifth place Ajax have so far been taking them to the cleaners. The man in charge of this game, Serdar Gozubayuk, the referee, blows the whistle for the second half, which NAC Breda get us kicked off for, kicking from right to left in this second half as they look to overcome a 2-goal deficit against Europe-hunting Ajax. And the ball is at the feet of Frederik Jensen now as NAC Breda begin their first piece of build-up play. Out to the left-hand side to the captain, Boy Kemper, who does just about enough to bring it under his control and escape the presence of Anton Gai. Gets the return now as he lifts in the delivery from Kamal Sowah, and it's headed back where it came from the middle of the Ajax penalty area. It was Josip Sutalo getting underneath it and heading it away, and all he's been able to do is concede a corner in his defensive clearance. This might be the ideal start to the second half for NAC Breda. Cannot be understated just how helpful the home crowd will be in this game as more and more fans return to their seats in the 20,500 seater capacity stadium. The delivery is Kemper's. There's no flick on at the near post, but it's going to be driven goalwards at the back post, and a good save by Martin Paes for the first time in this second half to deny the delivery from Nassau. Now he was the one that took that shot on from the right hand side of the penalty area that stings the palms of the Indonesian shot stopper. And the follow-up cross is intervened on, but not convincingly cleared by Yuri Bas. There's a really hard hit from the joint top scorer for NAC Breda in the league this season in Mohamed Nassau. Follow-up corner to come now. NAC Breda applying the early pressure in this second half. There'll be a delivery from the right-hand side this time. In swinging, left-footed from Kemper, who's on the end of it. It's Sutalo on the end of it, edge of the box. Here is Nasso again, and that one flies high over the top of the Ajax goal. Very little there for Martin Paes to worry about, but I think there was a deflection on the way through, closed down on the edge of the box by Glauch, and then the second sliding challenge is well made by Yuri Bas. Another corner to come. In it goes this time from the left, headed half away, brought down by Ajax, and this time they might be able to create a counter for themselves. They've made it to the edge of the centre circle where Sowa has intercepted it. Out to the left hand side for Kemper. And now NAC Breda are able to maintain possession. They've quelled any potential counter-attacks, and they're able to go again down the right-hand side. It's Denis Odoi into the feet of Charles Andreas Brim, who has his pocket picked, and then it looked like he was trying to drag Yuri Bas back for a moment there. Ajax making it to the edge of their defensive third, but not without a struggle. NAC Breda are able to win it back in the middle now. It's been Ballard who finds Sowa, and now here is Kemper. Sowa's continued his run out to the left, but instead he returns it to Nasso, who attempts to slip it in behind for the run of Paula. Not able to find him. And now Ajax have it back. And can they get it away from the edge of their own defensive third this time? Attempted 1-2 between Mika Gods and Yorti Mokio. And NAC Breda bring it under their control again after the interception. Here is Clint Leemans. Now it's Jensen to Odoi. Back to Leemans from the goalkeeper Bielica. Leemans forward looking for Sowa, not able to find him. In the way was Oscar Glauch. Very smart finish in the first half for the Israeli midfielder to open the scoring in favour of Ajax. Kemper now trying to dart his way in between two Ajax players. He's been stopped in his tracks by Glauch, and now on the right hand side it's Berghaus who tries to drive forward. Armband very much wrapped up around the upper arm of Steven Berghaus, fixture of this Ajax team. Ajax pull it back right the way to their goalkeeper. The flick on is Weghorst and the chase was Mokio's. Odoi says thank you very much. He'll clean up, very devoid of any problems. Out to the left hand side for Kemper. His delivery is early. The chase is on for Sumano, who had designs on getting there first, but so did the Ajax goalkeeper Martin Paes. Came out well to smother it and left no scraps for the French forward. Now Glauch in the middle of the park. Turns and gives it away to Brim. He can drive to the corner of the penalty area now for NAC Breda. Ajax will be shooting themselves in the foot here as Brim delivers, and it's chested very nonchalantly back to his own goalkeeper by Anton Gai. He now gets the return throw by Martin Paes and runs into trouble. Boy Kemper making the intervention. Nasso trades passes well with Sumano. Nasso into the penalty area, chopping back and trying to square it back to Sumano. And it's been intercepted again, this time by Yuri Bas. And Ajax make it to the edge of the centre circle inside their own half before once again NAC Breda win it back. They're determined to keep the ball away from Ajax. They have to go for broke in this game, and I think Ajax are aware of that. Certainly Oscar Garcia on the touchline for Ajax will be aware of that. Counter-attacking football could well be his friend in this second half. Not so much for NAC Breda, who have a mountain to climb. Do they have the tools necessary? Sumano getting into the penalty area, round 3. As he gets into the box, he tries to take the shot on, and it's a very theatrical tumble taken now by the Frenchman, as he couldn't quite get it out of his feet. Closed down at close range by Josip Sutalo. Still not quite back to his feet yet, Musa Sumano, but the referee has ignored his pleas. one or two penalty shouts in the first half for NAC Breda that fell on deaf ears, with Serdar Gozubayuk, the man in charge in this game. Paula, a bit fortunate with the deflected ball, and it's a very rickety strike from 25 yards or so that came in from Mohamed Nassau. Saw his opportunity to take on a shot and did. Martin Paez watching it all the way, but had to get down quickly to his left there. That ball was always moving as it flew towards his goal. Now Nassau again, approaching the edge of the penalty area. Can't make space for the shot, tries to slip it in behind for the run of Brim. Well spotted by Rosa. And Ajax are going to play their way out of danger now. It's Glauch who gives the return to Weghorst. And now here goes Weghorst driving down the flank into the penalty area now. Wout Weghorst, nobody accompanying him into the penalty area. Challenge made. Weghorst very confident that the final touch was that of a NAC Breda player. And he has been justified in his cries to the official. With an Ajax corner, their first of the second half. It'll be an in-swinging delivery now for Ajax on the right-hand side. It's going to be Mika Götz to take. 1 assist and 1 goal already in this match. Can he add to those goal contribution numbers now? It's very deep. It's into the air off the head of Weghorst. There's a flick on and there's a chase for the loose ball, which is not going to be picked up by an Ajax player, but it's Glauch from range. And it's stood up. I'm not sure Boy Kemper knew all that much about it, but he was able to get in the way. Back out to the right-hand side now. The delivery comes in again. And the flick-on is good from Mokio. Just not quite enough direction on the ball to have it beat Bielica in between the NAC Breda sticks. It was Berghaus's cross, plumb on the head of the Belgian midfielder on the edge of the 6-yard area. And he went for placement over power with the header. And in the end it was a fairly comfortable save for Bielica. It's Soa, gets the return now from Nassau as NAC Breda immediately come forward now after the save has kept them from going 3-0 behind. Already have designs on reducing the deficit, coming down the left-hand side and winning a corner of their own. Making his way over to take it now will be Clint Leemans. He will take the in-swinging delivery. As 3 substitutes ready themselves, and the board is already up here, so I think these are going to come onto the field of play right now. We're going to see the withdrawal from the game of Raul Paula. And his like-for-like is going to be the number 55 in Brahim Galidi. Second change will also see Andre Ayew make his way onto the field of play at the expense of Musa Sumano. That was a swap that was made coming into this game, with Sumano being preferred to Ayew. And I think the third and final change will be the removal from the field of Charles Andreas Brim. And on in his stead will come Pepe Roylen. And just for good measure, to delay the game ever so slightly more, there's going to be 1 change for Ajax. Oscar Glauch races run. A goal scored, he's made his contribution. Just 10 minutes into this second half, he's invited to join his teammates on the bench, and at his expense, Sean Stour will make his way onto the field. Now then, here comes the Clinton Leemans corner. Plenty of whip on it. It's up off a NAC Breda header. I believe it was Odoi who rose the highest there in the middle of the penalty area. Ayew was also lurking after his very recent introduction to the field of play. In the end, it's a looping header that goes over the top of not just Martin Paez but also his goal. And it now will be an Ajax goal kick that Serdar Gozubayuk is keen for the away side to take. No goals then so far in the first 11.5, coming up on 12 minutes of this second half. NAC Breda 0, Ajax 2. Oscar Glauch, who has been now removed from the field of play as a substitution, getting the opening goal. Mika Götz getting the second with a goal of the month, potentially goal of the season contender. A really special solo run that led to the doubling of his team's advantage as Ajax win possession back on the edge of the middle third. Now here they come down the right. It's Gai who turns into the feet of Riga. Smart ball forward by Stour, who makes his first contribution to proceedings. And after getting the return from Weghorst, he gives it away. Ayew goes down after bringing it under his control, and the referee finds in his favour. NAC Breda free kick. Very much inside their own half of the field. Forward it goes now from the defender Jensen. The chase is on for Pepe Roylen. They're going to get there ahead of the commanding goalkeeping presence of Martin Pius, as Ajax keep the ball to themselves inside their own defensive third. Here is Mukio. He continues his run down the left hand side and looks to latch onto the return pass from Mika Götz, battling away now with Maximilian Ballard. And the referee eventually finds in favour of the Australian. Nassau. Here is Kemper on the left for NAC Breda. Sawar back to Nassau. Switches from the centre out to the right hand side, where the ball is brought down by Roylen. Twisting and turning and leaving it to Adoy. Adoy gets the return from Ballard. Now Roylen again. Now Ballard again. Now Adoy getting into the penalty area at full speed. He is going to make it there first. Half challenge made by Bass, and the second attempt to get the ball away is successful from the defender. It's Leemans who brings it down, a little unconventionally. And there's a sandwich happening on Mika Götz there, as he and two players in yellow ran for the same ball. In the end, the man who picked up the pieces was Roylen. Now here goes Adoy again down the right hand side. Roylen making the run in front of him. Here he is. Turn is Galides. Galidi back to Adoy. Adoy lifting it towards the penalty area where Roylen and Mohamed Nassau had made their presences known. Neither of them able to get there. Clearance made for Ajax, which is headed down just over the halfway line by Weghorst, but only headed into the path of a player in yellow and black. Here is Kemper now on the left. NAC Breda come forward as we reach the hour mark. Andre Ayew. No stranger to the left hand side of the field throughout his playing career. As time catches up with Andre Ayew's playing career, he's moved into a more central striker role. He's a player to be feared in his Premier League heyday for Swansea, as well as for Marseille in France. Delivery comes in now for NAC Breda towards the back post, where Kemper had continued his run right the way into the penalty area. The half header away is chased down by Kemper and Berghaus, and Kemper wins the foot race. Here is Sawar, twisting and turning and eventually running into traffic in the form of Guy, but Kemper keeps it going. Gets the return from Nassau. Kemper on the corner of the box, running into traffic. Challenge made by Berghaus, who gets the return from Guy now. Berghaus across his own penalty area. And the comfort being shown by Ajax when they're defending their final third is seemingly very impressive at times. Yuri Riga, who eventually made the clearance, could only get it to the middle third, where it goes for a NAC Breda throw. It's Kemper. Now here is Sawar. Now Leemans. Across to Jensen. Back to Leemans, now in the centre circle for NAC Breda. Still everybody outfield is currently inside the Ajax half of the pitch as the switch is made from right to left. There's no willing runners in yellow for the ambitious pass, shall we call it, that was made by Kamal Sawar. Goes beyond everybody and out for what will be an Ajax goal kick. But before that's taken, there's just a question to be asked of the Ajax goalkeeper, Martin Paes, who is down inside of his own penalty area. And it would appear that the Ajax medical staff are going to need to intervene on this one. There's no collision at all to indicate that Paes was going to be hurt in any way, but as he's jogging for the loose ball, you see him immediately pull up holding his right calf and then gesturing to the bench that he might be in trouble. The last thing Oscar Garcia will want will be his starting goalkeeper getting injured, but he does have Paul Reverson and Aymin Alhani on the bench, should he need to turn to it. Numbers 52 and 62 in the Ajax squad. And it's your number one that's down on the turf being nursed by the medical staff. That's when eyebrows start to be raised. Oscar Garcia's task is simply to right the ship at Ajax and see out the season and confirm European football. At the minute, Ajax are on the verge of doing exactly that. 5th in the Eredivisie, but they will want more than just the UEFA Europa Conference League, which is what they currently qualify for based on their league position. But 3 points here today will do them a favour as they chase European football. They're just 2 points behind FC Twente in 4th place, which would qualify them for the Europa League. But they'll be relying on a team in FC Twente to drop points, a team that have already beaten them in relatively recent action in the Eredivisie, as a delivery comes in from the left-hand side by Mokio for Ajax. Over the top of everybody, but chased down on the right-hand side by Berghuis, who does ever so well to keep it in play and lay it off to Gai. Now Berghuis is able to deliver again, and standing in the way was Leemans. Cleared out to the left-hand side where it was being chased down by Kemper. He got the final touch, and as a result concedes an Ajax throw, which Berghuis is happy to leave for Gai. Gai goes short to his captain, gets the return. Now plays it to Stein. Played into the middle now by Rosa for Ajax. And there must have been a foul there on the edge of the centre circle. Mohamed Nassau dragging back his opposite number in Yuri Riga. He took a nice touch after receiving the ball into his feet from Rosa. Created some separation between Nassau and the ball, and was quite snapped back almost by Mohamed Nassau for his troubles. It's a free kick that Ajax have not been able to make the most of, though, as Andre Ayew attempts to drive over the halfway line following winning the ball back for NAC Breda. He's tripped from both sides by 2 different Ajax players, and the referee now awards a NAC Breda free kick, which Boy Kemper is in the mood to take very quickly. Kemper lays it off now to Jensen. Out to the right hand side for Galidi. Getting into a crossing position, looking for Ayew, who was lurking on the edge of the 6-yard box, and getting in the way first was Yuri Bas. NAC Breda corner. More defensive work to do for Ajax. Corner taken short. Returned to Leemans. Now lifted in from deep by Nassau. Kemper was at the back post. He goes down. Guarded all the way to Sawa on the edge of the box. Lifted back in by Nassau. And eventually Ajax do get the ball cleared from the edge of the penalty area. Right the way to the halfway line where the pieces are picked up by Kemper. Now it's out to the right. A little bit of an awkward touch, but Galidi keeps hold of it. Galidi into a crossing position on the right hand side of the penalty area, and Bas getting in the way, despite the fact that his goalkeeper was ready with both arms open there to claim that one. Bit of a miscommunication between the Ajax defender and goalkeeper that allows for yet another NAC Breda corner. The more of these they concede, the more that you feel something's got to give here against Ajax, as Leemans readies himself for another delivery in from the right. In swinger. Attacked at the near post by Ayew, cleared away after it missed him. Leemans again. Nassau's delivery, and the header attempt is that of Frederik Jensen, which doesn't come off in the end for NAC Breda. The substitute in Pepe Royland was also lurking. Neither of them able to get purchase at all on the ball. It's a long clearance made by the Ajax goalkeeper Martin Pius. In the end, it's going to be returned to sender along the floor down the right-hand side. Here come NAC Breda. Laid off towards the run of the substitute Galidi. And they can't quite create a crossing opportunity for themselves. Well, it would appear a set piece is in the offing now. It's a set piece for Ajax, not NAC Breda. The way that the Ajax players have presented themselves there, it looks as though they were getting bodies back. That was just to accompany left back in Lucas Rosso when it came to the throw in. There are quite a lot of shouts now from around the ground at the Eredivisie-Stadion because they want more out of their players. The NAC Breda fans packed into this ground, a 20,000 seater ground that nobody wants to see hosting second division football in the Netherlands in 2026-27 now. And a little bit of oomph in the challenge made on the right hand side by Odoi, who wins a throw. As NAC Breda again throw bodies forward, and another challenge with a bit of oomph made on the right hand side by the substitute Galidi. Now it's back with Odoi, and now on the edge of the penalty area it was an attempt from Ballard to break into the 18-yard box. Stopped in its tracks by a good challenge made by Yuri Bass. NAC Breda remain in possession for the moment. Out to the right hand side, Odoi pulls it back. Ballard put under pressure by Mokio. Keeping possession on the right hand side for NAC Breda. Crossing position now for Odoi from deep, and retreating to head it away was Rosa, and it's helped away from danger to Weghorst, who flicks it on, looking for the run of Berghaus, not going to find him. Now that I think about it, one thing that NAC Breda have done tremendously in this second half is negate the attacking prowess of Mika Götz. He's seen very little of the ball since that incredible solo goal at the end of the first 45. Knocked down for Andre Ayew now. Ayew to Sawar. Sawar out to Kemper. Not able to cross with his right from that position, but he is able to lay it off, and the attempted bending strike was Ballard's. Stops at source, but back out to the right hand side. Jalidi gets the delivery in. Ayew is in the middle. It's going to drop to Sawar. It's deflected. It's a brilliant reaction save from Martin Pius. First time volley from Kamal Sawar, and it took the slightest of nicks on its way through off of the defender Josip Sutalo. Fantastic reactions from the Indonesian in between the sticks to push it wide. And it's going to be another NAC Breda corner, but not before the introduction to the game of Lewis Holtby. Final 20 minutes are upon us at the Eredivisie-Stadion. Who is Holtby brought into proceedings now? There's a quick discussion with Kamal Sawar as to where everybody's going to go. I believe the man being removed from the field of play is Maximilian Ballard, as the delivery does come in now from Liemans. Picked up by Nassau on the edge of the penalty area, lifted back into the danger zone. It's Ayew going up for it. He's not able to get there. Launched away from danger. For how dominant Ajax were in the first half and how business as usual this game felt, they have been on the back foot for the majority of this second 45 with 20 to go. They still have a 2-0 lead to defend, and it appears the next roll of the dice is going to involve the removal from the field of the captain Steven Berghaus. His race is run as the man who was replaced in the starting 11 ahead of this game, Ko Ikatura, makes his way onto the field, which throws into question the formation that Ajax are going to be playing for the rest of this game, because that is very much a central midfielder. Oh, I stand corrected, it's a double substitution. I was about to say that's very much a central midfielder coming on for a winger, but as Ikatura makes his way onto the field, also coming off is Yuri Riga, and also coming onto the field is Ryan Bunida. There we go, just about got over the line with that name pronunciation. And he will occupy the vacated space now by the captain. It's Weghorst who takes on the armband now as NAC Breda get the game back underway. on the edge of the centre circle now. Out to the right for Odoi. Oh, and Sawa shows a bit too much of the ball to Mokio. And it very nearly fell quite kindly there for Wout Weghorst, but at full stretch even he was unable to reach it before Clint Leemans, who was just in a better position, and shepherded it back to his goalkeeper Bilika, who's had a fairly boring second half from a goalkeeper's point of view. He's had to make very few interventions when it comes to any Ajax attacks. It's amazing that this second half has been all NAC Breda, and yet one counter-attack can be their complete undoing because they have to go for broke. As a cross-come shot comes in from the left-hand side for NAC Breda, it was Nasso's delivery that leaves something to be desired. Ajax goal kick, and they'll take their time with this one as much as they're allowed. In the midfield area, here is your team Mokio. That's out to the right hand side for the first real touches of the ball for Ryan Bunida. Now it's back with Sutalo, who does ever so well to hold off the sliding challenge made by Boy Kemper. It's amazing that Kemper, who's recognised as a left back, has essentially been playing as a winger throughout the majority of this second half, doing his best to create crossing opportunities for his team. Forward it goes now again for NAC Breda. Chased right the way out to the left hand side of the penalty area, and a bit of a rough challenge is made there by Yuri Bass as Pepe Royland made his way forward. Challenge made anyway, and the referee says nothing about the veracity of it. Throw to come for NAC Breda. Will be taken by Kemper. Long throw from the captain. Reaches the corner of the 6-yard box before it's headed up into the air. Volleyed goalwards a little optimistically in the end by Lewis Holtby on the edge of the penalty area. Another player with Premier League experience there alongside his current teammate Andre Ayew. Here's Lewis Holtby, also a player with experience at the top level in his native Germany, formerly of Tottenham Hotspur. For any English listeners who might think they recognise that name, that may well be why. Multi-time German international as well during his heyday. Hoping to help his team spearhead their way out of the relegation zone. As it stands, this result is going to do them no favours, as Mokio is unable to bring it down on the edge of the attacking third for Ajax. Holtby lays it off to Sawa. Now it's out to the left-hand side for Nassau, who's occupying more of a winger role in the closing stages of this game. 15 minutes of normal time to play. Kemper. Holtby. Kemper continues his run down the left-hand side, and he very almost got there, but the sliding challenge of Sean Stour. Very good recovery from the substitute. Fresher legs than Boy Kemper, who hasn't stopped running throughout this second 45 minutes. The referee's actually going to pull this back for a challenge that was made on Holtby there in the build-up play for NAC Breda as they made their way down the flank. Free kick opportunity then. It'll be taken by Leemans, left-footed. Oh, he was trying to get underneath it. Headed up into the air and then helped away from the edge of the penalty area for Ajax. Leemans brings it down, and now here is Sawa. Out to the right for Jensen. Now Odoi. He's got an overlap if he wants it from Galidi. He does now find Brahim Galidi. Odoi continues his run down the flank. Galidi instead chooses to lay it off to Holtby. Now here is Sawa. Sawa to Nassau, who curiously might be the furthest man back here as NAC Breda still pile bodies forward. Galidi able to dig out the cross right towards the back post, and Kemper unable to rise high enough. It bounces off his head, but it bounces off his head and out for an Ajax goal kick, which he is very keen for Martin Pius to take as quickly as possible. I'll be very surprised if he got his wish. Kemper leaning backwards there as he went for that header, and he knows that he got that wrong, punching the ground in frustration at the Radviller Stadion Less and less time on the clock now for NAC Breda. Which means less and less opportunities to potentially save themselves from relegation. As mentioned, coming into this weekend, 3 points behind Excelsior, currently sitting in the relegation playoffs. If NAC Breda can help it, they'll want to leapfrog Excelsior and also whoever it is that's above them in the Eredivisie table. They won't want to be subject to a playoff with a team desperate to play top division football. Smart ball in behind, looking for Weghorst. For Ajax, that's cut out. Now there's a challenge on the halfway line on Sawo, which the referee awards a free kick for, and very quickly brandishes a yellow card in the direction, I believe that was of Yuri Bas. Game continues as NAC Breda take the free kick quickly down the right hand side. Here is Adoy, accompanied on the wing by Galidi. Ayu now pulls back to Adoy. Kemper lifts it towards the penalty area, headed back out where it came from. And now here comes the counter-attack for Ajax. And it's Sean Stoyer who's leading it. Gets the return from Weghorst. Stoyer to the edge of the box. Stoyer lays it off. Weghorst in space. Wout Weghorst, good save. Telegraphed where he was shooting there to Daniel Bielica. And Ajax can't believe they've not added a third in this game. In fact, I think in the end it's Götz who takes on the shot. Weghorst is arriving, yes. But it is Götz, the top scorer, who receives the ball into his feet. And as he twists on the edge of the box and makes the space, he telegraphs exactly what he wants to do to Daniel Bielica. And forces a save that needed to be made, but it was a good height for the Polish goalkeeper, down to his left, pushing it away. The outcome is an Ajax corner. The opportunity to score is not completely lost on Ajax just yet. Oscar Garcia on the touchline can't believe that it's not 3-0. As NAC Breda clear their lines. Stauer. Shepherded right the way back to Paes, who launches it forward. Chase was briefly on there for Ryan Bunida. Decided it wasn't worth it as the ball bounced its way all the way back into the feet of Daniel Bielica. Sawa. Back into the feet of Limans. Now here is Sowar again. Now Nassau. Just about over the halfway line, out to the left hand side for Kemper. Searching ball forward and doing his best to outmuscle his marker and keep hold of possession for NAC Breda. There was Pepe Royland, but he's been dispossessed and the ball's been cleared away by Sutalo. Royland now retreating from what looked like an offside position to recover the ball as NAC Breda do get it forward, and it's a shot from range by Nassau. The goalkeeper, Paes wasn't sure about, down to his right hand side, but it was stopped as it made its way to the edge of the box by one of the Ajax defenders. Sawa, careful not to show too much of the ball to the Ajax players in his own half now. 10 minutes of normal time to play. NAC Breda are going to find anything from this game. They need to find the first thing soon. Sawa, edge of the centre circle. Limans out to the left hand side. Kemper, lots of space for the delivery. Ayu is the target, half away and rattled wide. That was a really good opportunity that presented itself there to Lewis Holtby. He ought to have done better there. Player who knows where the back of the net is. He's proven that in his career. Swinging at it with his left foot, just about inside of the penalty area and swinging it very far wide of Martin Paes' goal. And with that missed opportunity, it's the end of the night for two players on the pitch, one for each of these two teams. See the removal of Clint Limans for NAC Breda, as well as the man who got the second goal, the very, very impressive second goal for Ajax in Mika Götz. His replacement is Oliver Edvardsen. Not 100% clear who it is that's made his way onto the field in place of Clint Leemans. But a standing ovation from the travelling Ajax contingent inside of the Ratvele Stadion for Mika Guts as he makes his way to the bench. 16 goals in the league this season in what has been a very dismal season by Ajax's very high standards in the league. He has been a shining light. As NAC Breda see the ball right the way back to their goalkeeper. Now here they come down the left. NAC Breda laid off to Nassau, thinking about the cross. Lifted into the penalty area now by the newly introduced substitute. It's Sherion Valerius, who's made his way onto the pitch at the expense of Clint Leemans. Here is Sawar. And the delivery is Kempers. Headed away from inside the box once again by Sutalo. Had to deal with 18 crosses in this second half, most of them from Boy Kemper. His game inside and out at this stage. Royland now, can he make space for the cross? Stood up at source by Guy. NAC Breda corner. This one not able to be taken by Clint Leemans anymore. Now he's been withdrawn. Instead it will be Lewis Holtby who comes over and takes on the role of set-piece maestro. Holtby's outswinging delivery from the left. Flicked half away by Weghorst. Sawar on the edge of the box. Saw his name in lights. Sails high and wide of Martin Pius' goal. And these opportunities that keep coming and keep going in increasingly disdainful fashion for NAC Breda. These fans inside this ground starting to concern that maybe, just maybe, this will be a season to forget. They won't want to return to the Dutch second division, but the longer that their season is dominated by performances like this, where they have been outdone and their opponents have been much more clinical, will not do them any favours in their battle against the drop. Adoy. And they create something for themselves now. Delivery is Galides from the left hand side. He looks like he's swapped wings ever since those final substitutions for Ajax, the most recent ones anyway, as Wout Weghorst now goes in the book for his part in a bit of a melee on the halfway line, battling away with Frederik Jensen to try and maintain possession for Ajax. Not able to do so in a manner which the referee decides is clean and proper. Jensen. Adoy on the right hand side. Here is Ballard. Looks to slip it in behind, and the run was potentially there for Royland. But watching it all the way and getting there first was Yuri Bass. He's been a bit of a defensive behemoth throughout this game for Ajax, getting in the way of anything and everything that NAC Breda have had to throw at the Dutch Giants. A season of general disappointment. His performance is not one that Ajax will look back on with much disdain. Defeat 2 games ago to FC Twente in the battle for European football, perhaps less so, as it's lifted into the box towards Ayew, and he's missed by a whisker. Dennis Adoy made the run down the right hand side of the penalty area. He was found very quickly and very well indeed for NAC Breda as they made their way forward. I believe the initial ball is Jensen's, the run is definitely Adoy's, and the delivery to the edge of the 6-yard box where Ayew was arriving. It looked like a perfect Ghanaian link-up between the two players. Ayew redirects the ball, completely wrong-foots Pius, but can't keep it on target. And perhaps that's a summary of the luck that has transpired for NAC Breda in this game, because they just can't get anything to go their way. Forward now for Ajax. The run of the newly introduced Oliver Edvardsson, who I don't think has seen the ball at all since his introduction. Well, now he has, but he's forced to retreat with it under a bit of pressure from Brahim Galidi. Launched forward as it's been shepherded back to Paes towards Weghorst. Less than 3 minutes of normal time to play. NAC Breda 0, Ajax 2. Should very much have been NAC Breda 1, Ajax 2 just a second ago. A slice of fortune might benefit them now. Here goes Galidi towards the edge of the box. It's Galidi who tries to take it on, and it's closed down at source. Right. The midfielder Ikatura. There's another player who's not seen much of the ball since his introduction. Now here is Weghorst on the left. Cheeky backheel attempt from Mokio. Ikatura keeps it going. The right hand side for Edvardsen with the delivery, and approaching it at the back post was Bonida. He is going to keep it in play, although the ball did get away from him briefly. Laid off to Rosa. Rosa gets it back and now is able to trade passes with his defensive partner in Yuri Bass. This is going to look like a run-of-the-mill victory for Ajax on paper, but they have been given a bit of a fight by NAC Breda. Certainly in this second half, it's just that nothing in the finishing department has gone their way. Here is Sawa on the halfway line, winning it back cleanly for NAC Breda. Out to the left-hand side for Galidi. Keeps it in play on the byline just. Can he make space for the delivery now, being stood up by Gai? Galidi does dig out the cross. It's over the top of everybody. It's going to be chased down right to the touchline for NAC Breda by Talviti. Escapes me the moment that he was brought onto the field. There he is, the Finnish international on loan at NAC Breda this season. He won't want a relegation on his CV. And here's one, or at least up to now, his one campaign with the club. Whether or not they have the option to make that loan a permanent move, whether they have the facilities should they be relegated from the Dutch top division, is up in the air. What we're about to see now is a NAC Breda throw on the right hand side, won by Talviti. Another player that was in the starting 11 in the most recent game that NAC Breda played. That 1-1 draw with Fortuna Sittard. Dropped out of the starting 11 at the expense of Charles Andreas Brim ahead of this one. By the man in charge, Carl Hufkens. All eyes on the fourth official then, because we're about to tick over into the 90th minute of this match. It's not been a second half filled with delays, and yet the officiating team have found a further 5 minutes. Laid off by Galidi. Kemper's delivery. It's teasing, and it's headed away from danger by the midfielder. On the retreat, it was Mokio. Here is Adoy on the right-hand side. Able to win a corner. NAC Breda are not finished yet. That extra 5 minutes appears to have rallied the crowd here at the Ratvelage Stadion. Holtby will take this corner from the right-hand side. Left-footed in swinging. I use the target, but Paes says thank you very much, plucking it out of the air. Between Galidi and Kemper there, they caused some problems because that delivery over the top of Paes just a second ago threatened to allow Andre Ayew to get a clear header from about 2 yards away, were it not for the intervention of Yorti Mokio. Challenge now made unfairly, according to the referee, on Oliver Edvardsen on the right-hand side for Ajax, as they got the ball forward. They're done wasting time with short goal kicks now. In squeaky bum time, they want to preserve, that's the word I'm looking for, their clean sheet. Forward it goes. And it's chested down by Mokio and plucked away from his feet on the edge of the penalty area, very cleanly indeed, by Fredrik Jensen. Out to the right-hand side now. Here goes Talviti. Shows a bit too much of the ball to the Ajax number 2 in Lucas Rosa. Talviti throws it backwards. Here is Adoy. Back to Talviti. Stood up by Rosa again, level with the edge of the penalty area. Throw in that Odoi says he will take this time. He does. He trades passes with Ballard. Now here goes Jensen. Laid off by Ayew and Sawa. Not a bad effort from the Ghanaian midfielder. Left-footed from distance. Just a bit too much height on it. It was bending, it was dipping, just not quite enough to really trouble Martin Paes. And that is half of the allotted 5 at the end of this game that has been played now. 2 minutes and 30 into the additional time at the end of this second half. On the precipice of 3 very important points for Ajax in the race for European football. 3 more points lost in the battle against relegation for NAC Breda. Weghorst chests it down. Lays it off to Bunida, who has his pocket pick cleanly according to the referee, and Sawa can drive it forward down the left hand side looking for Galidi. Not able to find him. Gay on the recovery, able to make the interception. Edvardsen runs out of room on the right hand side, but does win a throw as a result off of Boy Kemper. Throw in taken short by Guy and launched forward now by Sutalo. Chase is on now as NAC Breda go into defence mode. It's Kemper again who gets there first ahead of the chasing winger Sean Stour. Stour's going to get another opportunity to drive forward now. He's able to lay it off to Edvardsen, now into the penalty area, twisting and turning. It's Bunida! He's hit the post. It's not away yet. Just about inside the penalty area. NAC Breda have won it back and they've launched it clear, and that would have been game, set and match in favour of Ajax. It already looks like they've done enough, but that would have put the gloss on a scoreline that actually might have flattered them. Given the performance that NAC Breda have fielded in this second half, they've been resilient, they've been resistant. They've at no point looked like conceding a goal. But for a brief second there, it looked for all the world like Ryan Bunida had made it 3-0. The base of the upright keeps it at 2. With 30 seconds of additional time to play. Can't imagine that score's going to change now as it's a ball fired forward down the left-hand side by Nassau, looking for the run of Galidi. It goes away after being unable to be controlled by the Belgian winger. Throw in for Ajax that reaches the halfway line before NAC Breda win it back. And as all eyes turn to the referee in charge of this game, the ball is returned to the NAC Breda goalkeeper. And it appears that that will be all she wrote. It's full time at the Radverleerstadion. And the story should really surround the second goal of this game. It was Mika Götz with a world-class international goal, which I'll come to in just a moment. The scoring was opened in the first half, about halfway through it, by Oscar Glauch, the Israeli midfielder, scoring his second of the season against NAC Breda. He scored in the reverse fixture, a 2-1 win at the Amsterdam Arena. He scored again here, and that was complemented right at the end of the first half by Mika Götz, getting his 16th in the Eredivisie this season, picking up the ball on the halfway line and driving through 1, 2, 3 players in yellow and black right into the penalty area, right down the spine of the NAC Breda defence, and sitting Daniel Bielica on his backside, rounding him and slotting it into an empty net for a fantastic individual goal that you would not be surprised to see do the rounds on social media in the next few weeks. Despite a resistant second half performance, NAC Breda were unable to break Ajax down and very nearly found themselves 3-0 down right at the end when the substitute Ryan Bunida hit the post. But at the end of the day, the scoreline is the thing that matters in both the battle against relegation and the battle for European football. And this scoreline very much favours the team involved in the latter. Full time at the Radverleerstadion. NAC Breda 0, Ajax 2. Thank you very much for tuning into this live audio coverage. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I've been Jay Cooper, and we'll see you very soon for some more live football action. Goodbye for now.